This is a vintage commercial. They told us this was the healthy choice. They told us this artificial spread would save our hearts. For decades, butter was framed as the villain, the artery-clogging enemy of health, and this, margarine, was the savior. It was the low cholesterol, plant-based future we were promised. The truth is, the product invented to replace butter. The product sold in millions of homes worldwide. Was a scientific mistake, a chemical shortcut that was actively worse for human health than the natural fat it sought to replace. This isn't just about food marketing. This is the story of scientific hubris, a corporate cover-up, and the global health epidemic caused by a single, cheap ingredient. This is the tale of how a simple mistake led to the premature deaths of an estimated 500,000 people worldwide. We dissect the chemistry, the history, and the shocking revelation they tried to keep quiet. Welcome to the Qorii lab. Our story begins not in a sterile food lab, but on the battlefield of 19th century France. Napoleon III desperately needed a cheap, non-perishable food source for his sprawling army and the working poor. In 1869, a chemist named Hippolyte Maurice won the prize. His invention was a mix of churned beef tallow, water, and milk. He called it oleomargarine. It was cheap, stable, and solved a massive military problem. But the true tipping point came in the early 20th century with a breakthrough in chemical engineering, hydrogenation. Suddenly, cheap, liquid vegetable oils like soybean or cottonseed oil could be transformed into a solid, shelf-stable spread. The process involved forcing hydrogen atoms into the oil under high pressure and heat. This process was a financial miracle. Instead of expensive dairy cows, manufacturers only needed vats and chemistry. However, this shortcut, this miraculous transformation, is what inadvertently created a chemical time bomb inside our food supply. To understand the danger, we must look at the molecule. Natural fats are usually cis fats, meaning the hydrogen atoms create a safe, bent shape. This bent shape allows our body's enzymes to process the fat correctly. They are easily metabolized. But the high heat and pressure of partial hydrogenation forces the hydrogen atoms into a rigid, opposite alignment. This shape is a trans fat. It is toxic. The body doesn't know what to do with it, and it begins to harden and clog. The danger goes beyond simple clogging. Trans fats cause double trouble for cholesterol. First, they raise your LDL, the bad cholesterol that carries fat to your arteries. Second, they simultaneously lower your HDL, the good cholesterol that removes fat from your arteries. No single nutrient or ingredient was causing more comprehensive damage to the cardiovascular system. In the mid-20th century, the scientific focus shifted. Researchers, led by figures like Ansel Keys, wrongly singled out saturated fat as the sole enemy. This error launched a nutritional crusade. Butter was deemed the enemy, and the world was told to swap saturated fat for vegetable oil-based products. Margarine companies capitalized instantly. They positioned PHOs as the heart-healthy alternative, often using bold, misleading claims on packaging. Ironically, this was only the second time the dairy and margarine industries fought. Decades earlier, dairy farmers pushed the pink margarine laws. They demanded the artificial product be dyed an unappetizing pink or gray, and levied heavy taxes to protect the profitability of natural butter. But the political fight faded. The powerful chemical manufacturers, armed with flawed science, won the war for the American and European dinner table. The financial incentive was too great, allowing the trans fat molecule, the silent killer, to proliferate across baked goods, snacks, and most damagingly, in the daily spread. The reckoning began in the 1990s. Definitive research finally pinpointed trans fats as the greatest dietary threat to the heart, far worse than the saturated fat they were meant to replace. The cost of this oversight was devastating. Hundreds of thousands of premature deaths were attributed to this single, preventable chemical mistake. After years of public health pressure, the FDA finally acted. In 2015, they ruled that partially hydrogenated oils were no longer generally recognized as safe GRAS. The market corrected itself, but the legacy remains. The lesson from the war on butter isn't to fear science, but to constantly question it and to respect the wisdom of whole, natural foods. The simple chemical difference between a bent molecule and a straight one cost civilization millions of lives. The story of what we eat is the story of our history. Thank you for dissecting this history with the Qorii Lab. Which food myth should we uncover next? Subscribe for more secrets lurking on your plate.